It could be. But here's something interesting I want you to think about. When people talk about highly intelligent individuals, they usually focus on things like fast thinking, solving complex problems, or having a lot of knowledge. But that's only part of the picture. What's truly fascinating isn't just how much they know. It's how differently they experience the world around them. Think about your own daily conversations for a moment. Imagine someone telling a simple story at dinner. Most people listen, react, maybe laugh, and then move on to the next topic. But a highly analytical mind often doesn't move on so quickly. Instead, the thinking continues. Long after the conversation ends, their mind might still be exploring it. They might start wondering why someone reacted the way they did. What emotions were really behind that response? What might have happened if one small detail in the story had been different? For them, thoughts rarely move in a straight line. They branch out like a network of roads. One idea leads to another, and then another, and suddenly, a simple moment turns into a much bigger chain of reflection. That's one reason why highly intelligent people sometimes seem quiet in group settings. It's not necessarily because they have nothing to say. In many cases, it's the opposite. Their mind is processing so many layers of what's happening that speaking immediately feels almost impossible. And there's something else about highly intelligent minds that's really interesting. They tend to question things that most people simply accept. When someone hears a statement, many people take it at face value and move on. But a highly analytical mind automatically starts examining it. Is the idea logically consistent? Is there evidence behind it? Could there be another explanation that no one has considered yet? This habit can make them excellent problem solvers. But at the same time, it can create tension in everyday situations. Constantly questioning ideas isn't always comfortable for people around them, especially in casual conversations. Another thing you'll often notice about highly intelligent individuals is curiosity, but not just ordinary curiosity. It's more like a relentless curiosity. A small question can turn into hours of exploration. A random observation might send them searching through books, articles, or documentaries about psychology, science, history, or philosophy. They're not just looking for answers. They want to understand how things connect. They might ask themselves questions like, why does this work the way it does? What deeper principle is behind it? How does this idea connect to something else? For them, knowledge isn't just a collection of facts. It's more like a web of connections. And every new idea adds another thread to that web. But here's the interesting part. The more connections someone sees, the more questions start to appear. And that creates a kind of paradox. If your mind constantly notices deeper layers of reality, does life become more interesting or more complicated? For many highly intelligent people, it becomes both. On one hand, the world becomes incredibly fascinating. Everyday events can reveal hidden patterns. Conversations might contain subtle psychological signals that most people never notice. Even small experiences can lead to big philosophical questions. But on the other hand, the mind rarely turns off. Overthinking becomes common. A decision that takes most people just a few minutes might take a highly analytical mind much longer. Not because they're unsure, but because they can see so many possible outcomes. Their brain naturally starts simulating what might happen next. Sometimes that ability is incredibly useful. Other times, it can be exhausting. There's also a big misunderstanding that often surrounds highly intelligent individuals. Many people assume intelligence means emotional distance. But the truth is often the opposite. Many highly intelligent people feel emotions very deeply. Their analytical thinking doesn't stop at logic. It often extends into emotional and moral questions too. When they see injustice, suffering, or contradictions in society, they don't just notice the problem and move on. Their mind starts examining it. They think about what caused it, what systems allow it to continue, and what the long-term consequences might be. They might quietly ask themselves questions like, Why do certain systems continue even when they harm people? Why do humans repeat the same mistakes generation after generation? And why doesn't knowledge always lead to wiser decisions? These kinds of questions can stay with them for a long time. Another fascinating trait of highly intelligent minds is the way they see connections that others miss. They might link ideas from completely different areas of knowledge. Something from psychology might suddenly connect to economics. A historical pattern might reveal something about modern technology or social behavior. Their brain naturally searches for patterns across large areas of information. And sometimes this ability is exactly what leads to breakthroughs in science, art, philosophy, or innovation. When someone connects ideas that previously seemed unrelated, entirely new perspectives can appear. But there's another side to this too. When your mind constantly gravitates toward deeper ideas, ordinary conversations can sometimes feel limiting. Small talk, which helps many people bond socially, may feel confusing or even frustrating. Instead, they often crave conversations about meaning, ideas, possibilities, or the bigger questions of life. And when those conversations don't happen, they may simply retreat into their own thoughts. That's another reason many highly intelligent people enjoy solitude. Not because they dislike being around others, but because solitude gives their mind space to explore ideas freely. Without constant interruptions, they can follow their curiosity wherever it leads. For them, a quiet evening reading, writing, or reflecting can feel incredibly energizing. But solitude doesn't necessarily mean loneliness. In fact, what many highly intelligent individuals truly seek is meaningful connection. They want conversations where ideas can unfold naturally, where curiosity is welcomed, and where questions are explored instead of dismissed. And that leads to one of the deepest questions about intelligence. What is the real purpose of having a powerful mind? Is it simply to gather knowledge? To solve difficult problems? To achieve success? Or could it be something more subtle than that? Maybe intelligence is also about perspective. A highly intelligent mind has the ability to step outside assumptions and see the world from different angles. It can recognize patterns in history, understand motivations in human behavior, and imagine possibilities that haven't yet been realized. But intelligence alone doesn't guarantee wisdom. Wisdom grows through experience, empathy, and reflection. And many highly intelligent individuals eventually realize that understanding people can be just as important as understanding ideas. Because the human world isn't built on logic alone. It's built on emotions, relationships, and unpredictable choices. That's why many thoughtful, highly intelligent people eventually become fascinated with psychology. The human mind itself becomes the greatest puzzle of all. Why do people believe things even when evidence contradicts them? Why do emotions sometimes overpower logic? Why do societies repeat patterns that history has already warned them about? Questions like these can keep a curious mind engaged for an entire lifetime. And maybe that's the most interesting thing about highly intelligent people. Their intelligence doesn't simply give them answers. It gives them deeper questions. Questions about life, meaning, truth, and human nature. Questions that continue unfolding long after most people have stopped thinking about them. So let me leave you with something to think about. If intelligence allows someone to see deeper patterns in the world, to question assumptions, and to imagine possibilities that others overlook, what kinds of ideas might still be waiting inside the minds of people who think this way? And what might happen if those ideas were truly heard and understood? Now, I'm curious about your thoughts. Do you think highly intelligent people experience the world differently? Or have you ever noticed some of these traits in yourself or someone you know? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed exploring the psychology behind the human mind, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow and allows us to keep creating thoughtful content like this. You can also share this video with someone who loves deep conversations and interesting ideas. It might start a discussion you didn't expect. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.